Thank you.
Well, it's nice having you here.
Nice having you. Nice having you as a neighbor. Okay, we were supposed to start at 6 o'clock, but there were a couple last minute details that we had to take care of, and I think we're ready to start. It is 6:05. Okay, we're ready to start? Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Thursday, March 10th, 2022 special meeting of the Waukegan Planning and Zoning Commission. Can we have a roll call, please?
Haug, Grimes, Griffin,
Here.
Bill,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Hintz,
Here.
Rivera,
Present.
Rodriguez.
Here. Okay, we have 6 members present, which is a quorum. We need 5 to have a quorum, so we have the legal amount of people needed to have an official meeting. Okay, the next item on the agenda is audience time, and this is just an opportunity for anybody here who would like to address the commission on anything not related to the agenda item tonight. If there's anybody here who would like to, I'm sorry?
It's everything because this isn't a public hearing. There won't be an opportunity later. So anybody who wants to address about anything.
Okay, I stand corrected. This is an opportunity for anybody who's here present. So we're doing it different from the typical public hearing. Since it's not a public hearing. Okay. Anybody here who would like to address the commission on any matter whatsoever, whether it's on the agenda or not? Is there anybody here? Okay, let's move right along. We're moving into new business, and the purpose of tonight's meeting is zoning calendar number 2656, which is a site plan approval for the temporary by American Place, 600 Lakehurst Road, and 4001 to 4011 Fountain Square Place, pursuant to the Western Gateway Redevelopment Overlay District and subject to conditions noted in the staff report. I just want to point out that tonight our sole purpose is to review the site plan approval, okay, the site plan that's being requested. And we're not here to discuss the pros or cons of a casino or the appropriateness of a casino or anything like that. It's strictly the site plan approval. So we have a couple of teams here that are going to be presenting. The presenters have their team ready, and the city also has their team, which is going to be giving us their position. And I'd like to ask the 2 teams to introduce themselves, please. Okay, we'll start with the petitioners.
I was going to introduce several when we presented. Does that work?
Sure, that'll work. Okay, and city staff, do you want to present yourselves?
Yes, just so everybody knows who's here. Would you like to start this? Just a minute. Yeah, probably up there so we can hear it on the.
Good evening. I'm Liz Butler with the law firm of Elrod Friedman. Here for the corporation counsel.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Disney-Hockey. I'm the Director of Track Engineering with Sam Schwartz and providing transportation and parking advisory services to the city.
Excuse me, Mike, is that microphone on?
I believe it is. Oh, maybe not.
I'll put it in. Thank you so much.
All right, one more time. Much better. My name is Sarah Disney-Hoffey. I'm the Director of Traffic Engineering with Sam Schwartz. We are transportation consultants hired to advise the city on transportation and parking matters.
I wonder if we should start again so that we have you recorded, because I'm not sure that that was picked up.
Happily. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Liz Butler. I'm with the law firm of Elrod Friedman, and we are the corporation counsel for the city of Waukegan.
Thank you.
Good evening, Lori Horvath with Jones Lang LaSalle. We are the project management team working with the city for the project.
Good evening, Jim Kintz with JLL Project Management with the city.
Thank you.
You've seen them in the audience before, but I don't think they've ever introduced themselves to you, the building commissioner and the city engineer.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is George Sellis. I'm the building commissioner for the city of Waukegan.
Good evening. My name is Jesus Alquicira, and I am the city engineer for the city of Waukegan.
And I believe you know all the planning and zoning staff.
Thank you. I would also like to recognize Mayor Ann Taylor, who's with us tonight. Mayor, thank you for being with us. Okay. I guess we're ready for your presentation, and what I'd like to do before we start, I'd like to swear anybody in who's going to be speaking tonight. Okay, would you please stand, raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, please proceed.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, my name is Alex Stoliar. I am Senior Vice President and Chief Development Officer for Full House Resorts. With me here today is Cliff Quartman. He heads up our construction team. Carl Camelucci is our counsel on this with Taft Law Firm in Chicago. Kurt Volkman with Leggett Architects is our main architect on this project. With GHA, our engineers are Mike Schrake and Brian Wasilowski. And last but not least, Lynn Means is with BLA, our traffic engineers. So we've got a quick presentation we're going to walk you through. The first thing I want to do is thank all of you for having this special meeting for us. And I also really cannot stress this enough. I want to thank the city staff, Noelle and her team, and everybody you see sitting here that has really gone out of their way to work with us as expeditiously as possible to bring this great project to fruition. So thank you for that. Now, want to talk real quickly, just so you know who we are. Full House Resorts, we are headquartered in Las Vegas, and we are a regional casino company that owns 5 casinos and operates 5 casinos around the U.S. This will be our 6th one here at American Place in Waukegan. You can see where we are in northern Nevada, right around Tahoe, in Colorado, outside of Colorado Springs. We've got a place down in Mississippi, outside of New Orleans, and one in southern Indiana, right outside of Cincinnati. And so that's who we are as a company, and so we're excited to be developing here in Waukegan. Now, the focus of today's meeting is to get site plan approval and review the site plan process for the temporary casino. But to put it into context, I want to show you about the bigger and grander project that we are building, that we are currently designing right now. Now, granted, that is not what we're seeking approval for today, but I wanted to sort of take a minute just so everybody understood the overall project plan. And so I think the best way to do that is to maybe start with a short video fly-through that we put together. We've had this up for a little while, so I apologize if some of you have seen it, but kind of walk you through what it is we're planning on bringing to Fountain Square. So just to kind of touch on some of those graphics you saw there in the video, this is an aerial view of what the site is going to look like once the project is completed. This will have 1,640 slot machines, 100 table games, 4 to 5 restaurants, and a 1,500 seat event venue. There will also be a mansion hotel that I'll talk about in a second. This will be the main arrival, the porte cochere coming in. And this is the mansion, which is going to be on the back side of the property, 20 villas, 20 high-end luxury suites, boutique hotel. This will be one of the nicest, if not the nicest hotel in the Chicagoland area. Obviously, this is made to attract high-end VIP customers, not just from Lake County, but from all around, especially from Chicago and from Wisconsin as well.
Excuse me a second. I know that we have a limited amount of time for your presentation, and this is the plan for the permanent casino that you're talking about, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to put this for context, but I could definitely flash through this if
Okay,
you'd like.
because I don't want to, have to cut you short on the presentation for the item that we're here to actually discuss and act on.
Absolutely. Let me skip through this, and happy to come back to any questions on this if there are just some interior shots. And so now the location that we're talking about, it is the 30-acre site owned by the city, as well as the 10-acre site adjacent to it that we currently have under contract. So overall, and that's why in the site plan application, you see it listed as 2 parcels. It's comprised of 40 acres. Now about half of that, and that's the part highlighted there, is where we intend to build a temporary casino, and that's the approval we're seeking for here now. And that's going to be about a 75,000 square foot sprung structure with 1,000 slot machines, 50 table games, 3 sit-down restaurants, and some other outlets in there. Now you can see putting it on this space allows us to then build the permanent casino while the temporary casino is in operations. That temporary casino will be operating for at least 2 years, up to 3 years, so it'll be somewhere between 2 to 3 years depending on how fast we can get the permanent casino built. Now with that, I want to turn it over to Kurt, our architect, who's designed a lot of this, and he can walk through some of these high-level plans. We know this might be a little hard to see on here, but it is in your packets, so but definitely can walk through this.
Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. So on the site plan, as Alex alluded to, the 10-acre parcel that is along Fountain Square is primarily what we're using for parking to support the temporary facility, as well as support the eventual permanent facility. The sprung structure is the 70,000 square foot temporary casino. Supporting that is a series of prefabricated trailer structures, including a kitchen facility directly to the west side of it, and then on the south side of the structure we have a diner which will have luxury basically dining facilities within inside, an administration trailer, as well as an employee services trailer where they'll be able to check in and prepare themselves for their shift. On the north side of the site, the 10-acre parcel is our primary parking for patrons. On the southwest lot, we are primarily using that for employee parking as well as patron overflow parking. The site of the 41 acres, we're using approximately 20 acres. 20% of that is landscape area. There's 133 parking spaces included in the current design. 302 are designated for employee parking. There is a ground sign to identify the main entrance along Fountain Square Lane. There is a secondary ground sign right in front of the facility as planned currently. And then there are accessory directional signs to identify areas for loading, employee parking, and any tour bus traffic in the future. Landscaping, we are placing canopy trees in the parking lot islands, and they will be either a little leaf linden or Chinese elm or something within the approved mix. Along the boulevard and open space, we will be providing larger canopy trees, currently planning on red oak, red maple, Burke red cedar to meet the deciduous tree and coniferous tree requirements, plus decorative planting per the landscape ordinance. with that, let's go to the next page. You can see on the landscape plan, we're trying to keep the trees regular to help allow us to surveil the parking lot and give us clean lines of sight across the facility. Site signage plan, again, we're just at the main entry points along Fountain Square and then off of Lakehurst Road, just providing signage for directionality as well as advertisement of the facility entry. The south elevation that you'll see as patrons approach will have a custom-built porte-cochere to allow for covered parking. The sprung structure is a fabric structure. It's a special fabric weave with a fire-resistant element to it. It's insulated and then it has a secondary layer of the same fabric on the inside. The prefabricated trailers are all coming out standard construction as you would expect for typical prefabrication, insulated, have roofs. We will then be attaching canopies and such to provide clean, clear walkways from the trailer structures to the main facility. And this is just the view on the west and the east elevations. Looking at the sides. Vehicular circulation. Everything in green is guest parking. There will be an EV station off of the VIP parking area. The arrows indicate our primary entry access points off of Fountain Square as well as off of Lakehurst. And then you see we do have the roundabout at the porte-cochere. Pedestrian circulation is anticipated through the aisles. We will have crosswalks designated in paved areas to allow patrons to access sidewalk to bring them to the entry. Employee parking similarly will use a similar method to reach the building and for their security check-in. Zoning analysis, we understand this is very difficult to read. This is in your packet as well, where we demonstrate how we've met the zoning for the overlay district and B2 use group. So with that, I'll turn it back to Alex.
Thanks, Kurt. That basically concludes our presentation. This is not directly related to site plan, but I'm taking every chance I can to plug the career fair we're having. So if anybody's watching, we need to hire a lot of people. So March 15th, 16th, and 17th at our offices at 1545 South Waukegan Road here. We will be having a career fair. And if anybody is interested in registering with us as a vendor, we've got it on our website there as well as we show there. So with that, thank you very much and happy to answer questions.
Okay, do the commissioners have any questions of the presenters? Yes, Commissioner Rivera.
What wasn't brought up was I know it must go under the landscaping, the fencing. They talked about certain fencing around the site. Could you elaborate a little more about that, please?
Within the site, we are calling for a decorative fence. It is a 6-foot tall fence for security. They are inside the setback lines on the frontage so that we can achieve the 6-foot height and stay in accordance with the zoning code. In the interior property lines that separate the casino facility from the adjacent hotel and the adjacent strip center, the fencing will be near to the property lines in accordance with the interior lot line zoning, which is 0 setback in those locations.
Is there a certain color for this decorative fencing?
As of now, the planning is it is a black aluminum fence, 6 feet tall, picket in nature. It's not it's not a security fence by any stretch. It's 6 foot tall, pickets, pretty closed off closed off on top so that it's not it's not a hazard if people do try to come.
Right. All right. As long as it doesn't look like some kind of
No, it's not chain link.
prison look, like, something like that. Yeah.
No, that wouldn't serve our client well, wouldn't serve the city well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. Bill.
Would it, you alluded to the fact that there will be security cameras and you set the trees to look at it. Will there be emergency call stations too out there? I know you probably have police or your security force going around and looking, but let's say there is an incident, the emergency call stations that you see in hospitals and airports and stuff like that, will there be any of those?
At this point, we don't have those planned. That being said, if that becomes something that we need to discuss with the first responders here in town, Full House Resorts was more than willing to cooperate with those discussions, and if the need arises, negotiate solutions that would help support safety.
Thank you.
It looks like your wayfinding signage is going to be the permanent signage, is that correct?
That is not necessarily correct. It's basically our wayfinding signage right now is to support the temporary facility. If we need to come back for subsequent review and approvals for the permanent location, as you can imagine, facilities like this go through a series of different branding exercises. Sure. So our goal right now is to get signage that will support the temporary use, and we will basically have separate submittals for the signage for our discussions with staff. So those will still be forthcoming on what we will be providing.
One other question. Signage, would there be temporary signage on the county roads or the toll road for this temporary site? And if so, will you be discussing this with the county as well as the officials with the toll road?
At this point, we're only addressing signage on the property.
On the site?
Currently.
All right.
If that comes to fruition that we need to discuss, additional signage on county property, we will be discussing with them.
All right, thank you.
But we have no current plans for that.
Can you discuss your landscaping plan and tell me if it's in keeping with what the city is requesting?
Yes, the intent that we have today is that we are basically matching the current landscape ordinance as it relates to canopy trees, plantings, and so forth. This is a very fast-moving project. We are in the process of designing the landscape further beyond what we've provided here today in terms of decorative plantings, the canopy trees, and so forth. So there will be more information coming as we submit for permit.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Commissioner Hintz.
could you talk a little bit about how the transition then happens from the temporary casino to the permanent, how the structure starts to get built with the temporary there, I guess, just so I understand that piece?
Sure. Well, you can see the phasing. The permanent facility is in the purple. The temporary facility is in green. If we can go back to our current site plan. Forward one. Okay, so in our forward facility, the north-south road that comes off of Lakehurst, immediately to the east of that will be the eventual construction fencing that will then kind of seclude and secure that facility. And the way that the permanent facility is going to be oriented is it's basically close to the western boundary of that part of that lot. The eastern boundary will be where general contractors will be staging and setting up and so forth, and material flow will be from there. So one of the important factors that we're trying to do is keep safe boundaries between the construction traffic as well as the patron traffic. It doesn't benefit Full House Resorts to have construction traffic mingle with the patrons. So we believe this provides a clear delineation of how we can achieve operation of the casino along with the construction.
The parking lots, though, would likely transition directly to the permanent then, or would they be modified at some point later?
There are parts of the parking that will be modified later to support the permanent facility. A lot of the area, when we decommission the temporary facility, will then start to become the extension of the boulevard that will take us into the permanent facility.
Okay. And what's the rough time frame for permanent to be up?
It's 2 to 3 years, so you will be seeing us again for the permanent facility as we bring that forward relatively soon to begin the process of explaining how we'll decommission and then commission the new facility.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Bowe?
One question, as far as this site plan right here that we're looking at, the one on the bottom, will that, for the employee parking, will that be a gated entrance for like fire trucks and stuff like that, so they have access, or?
Correct. There will be a security gate. It's not for the full employee parking, but it does give us a line of security where all the deliveries and will have to go through the security gate. As it's planned right now, drivers will remain, kind of with their trucks. The full house will be unloading the trucks themselves, bringing the materials inside.
Okay.
Sure.
Commissioner Anderson?
I'd like to see the exterior of the temporary casino, please. I know it's temporary, but there are no windows. I mean, I looked at that and I went, who's gonna wanna go into it? And I'm sorry, it is not, it's not inviting, and I understand it's temporary, but how can you make it more inviting?
Well, I think, this is an elevation of the building itself. There will be trees in front of it. There's also a plan in place that we will work with the city on that is a projectable art display at night times onto the tent itself.
Saw that.
So there will be a little bit of energy and activity as it relates to the display as part of the tent. Being that the fabric of the tent is white, on most sunny days it basically begins to blend in and it's not reflective, but it will kind of marry with the skyline. If you're on Fountain Square Drive, you have all the canopy trees that you're looking through. So, the structure itself is 50 feet tall.
Well, the canopy trees are gonna be how tall when you plant them? I mean, I understand ultimately what this is gonna look like. It's not gonna look like that the first year, or the second year, or the third year.
Understood.
And, I mean, I understand also you're trying to get something up and moving and producing revenue in the 3 years that you're building. So I'm just asking these questions.
Sure. And in the typology of casinos, they're typically not windows and fenestration in casino properties. So keeping in line with the use type, not having windows is appropriate for casino facilities.
Well, when you were showing what the casino looked like, the ultimate casino, I didn't see it as windowless and as a big box.
Right. There would be support services as you.
Yeah, I mean
that is the mansion, so that is the
Yeah.
hotel facility.
Yeah.
Within the casino, you're going to see change in materials due to restaurants, food service locations, other service venues that will change in contrast so that you have directionality within the facility.
Commissioner, at a higher level, I 100% agree with you. When we do a casino development, we want it to be inviting. We want you to come there. We want you to feel safe, and we want you to, again, to really make it as inviting as possible. So not that just you're coming to this casino, but that you're coming here instead of other casinos. And that's clearly what you see here with our permanent facility, and no doubt. And a lot of times, Kurt's right, casinos don't really have windows, but restaurants and hotels do, and sometimes we have fake windows on the outside just so it looks more inviting.
Right.
Now, but you're absolutely right, you nailed it on the head. With the temporary facility, it's a sprung structure, it does have to go up quickly. What I can tell you is we are working to make that look a lot more inviting than that, right? So it will have the porte-cochere, it will have the landscaping, and it's gonna have some artistic features that we are working on that we're just not ready to present today. But when you pull up to this, it won't be as nice as that permanent facility, but we want you to be impressed with it as well.
At best, that looks like a warehouse,
Agreed, based on that picture, agreed. And really, this does a good job of showing the elevations and everything and really showing the canvas on which we're gonna make it more inviting.
And when do you plan to begin construction on the temporary facility?
Well, we are currently working on permits, and we're hoping to break ground on the foundation if we get all the permits, hopefully at the end of the month. Now, again, everything we do here, we don't just need the city's approval, given that this is a gaming project. We need the approvals from the Illinois Gaming Board. So as we get approvals from the city and the different municipal bodies here and agencies, we do take all of that to the Illinois Gaming Board, and then we seek their approval as well.
So you have a lot of work to do in the next 3 months.
That's an understatement, sir.
Any other comments? Mr. Griffin?
I have to ask you if you have done this before with the temporary casino and then built a permanent.
So you're going to put me on the spot here, and I will be 100% honest with you that I have not done one of these before. Now, this is very common in the gaming industry. Our team has built a lot of casinos, a lot of permanent casinos. This is the first temporary casino that we are doing, that our team is doing.
Okay, and start to finish, once you start construction, how long does it take
For the temporary or the permanent?
for the temporary to get started?
The temporary, we're targeting a July opening. That is the advantage of the sprung structure, is that it can go up quick. Now that of course depends on us getting all the approvals in a timely manner that we need, but we are targeting a July opening.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions from commissioners?
I just had one
Commissioner
more
Rivera.
in regards to the job, the career day that you're gonna have. What are you looking for as far as how many employees for this temporary site?
So for this temporary site, right now we believe we need 700 employees. Now, obviously, we're not looking to hire people for just 3 years or 2 to 3 years, right? So we're expecting most of those employees to stay with us and transition over to the permanent casino. And that's one of the advantages with the temporary casino, is it's not just about the tax revenues and get the development happening right away, but it provides us a good canvas on which we can train our employees, our table games dealers, our food and beverage staff, so that when you see that top quality facility you see on the picture there, that we have a well-trained staff ready to go.
Yeah. From what I understand, Rockford has a temporary facility up, correct?
They do. The Hard Rock in Rockford opened up a temporary casino. They went a little different direction. They had a smaller space to work with, so they're inside a restaurant or an old banquet center.
Has anyone in your group gone out there and checked to see how that operation has gone?
Yes, we have been out there. It's busy. It's doing well. It's a very nice, clean facility. Given our project is a little bit different because we're building a large sprung structure. We get to really start from scratch and build a nice casino floor plan from the start, whereas they had to sort of go into this existing restaurant space. But I think they've done a very nice job. The revenue numbers show that. Ours is definitely a lot bigger than what they've built. With 1,000 slot machines and 50 table games, this is the size of a full permanent casino, even though this is just a temporary.
And what type of revenue have they produced since they put this temporary casino up? Do you know?
I believe they're doing about $4 million a month of revenue. They've only been open for about 3 to 4 months.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah, the Illinois Gaming Board actually posts all the revenue numbers on their website.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
I have one more, and then I'm done. In your parking facility, are you doing any bioswales, I mean, I'm seeing things about stormwater, but then not some of the mitigation for stormwater. What's the plan? I mean, these are huge lots. How are you handling all of that? Permeable pavers,
I will throw this to Mike Schrake of Gowalt Hamilton, who's our civil engineer.
I knew Mike would have to answer this. Absolutely.
So, current site plan does not, the current site plan does not have bioswales in it, and the amount of green space we have, if you remember, this is the ranch process with the
there's about, between the 3 parcels, there's about 27 acres of asphalt that was taken off. So our stormwater is going to approach to deal with potentially using a storm trap initially, which will allow some infiltration into the ground as well as catch basins, et cetera. But as of right now, we don't have bioswales in for the temporary.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions for the petitioner? All right, thank you very much. I would like to ask city staff to please give us their position on this project.
Going to take this off so I don't have to lean in so far. So if you all have your staff report in front of you, you can see that the staff is recommending approval. We have a number of conditions that we're also recommending. Some of those are standard conditions relating to complying with ordinances, going through proper permitting processes, and those types of things. The casino operation would like to operate for 24 hours a day, which under our current code needs to be reviewed by Development Review Board and then go to City Council for approval. So that will be a separate approval process that's called out in condition number 8. We go on to talk about noise and traffic and those kinds of things, and if it's okay with you, I would like to ask Sarah to come up and speak about the traffic and parking issues.
I would like to ask anybody who's going to speak on the city side to please stand and be sworn in. You're the only one? Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
All right, thank you, Noel, for giving me an opportunity to touch briefly on the main points that we identified in our memorandum. Each of you received a copy of a review memo that we prepared based on an assessment of the site plan and the draft traffic impact study that was prepared by the petitioner's team. And I'll touch on just a few key items that are of greatest importance to discuss. The first being our recommendation that the temporary facility be used as effectively a transportation case study for the permanent facility. Traffic engineering studies are commonly done based on an accumulation of data for similar facilities across the country, and the more common a given land use is, the more data we have. Casinos are less common of a land use, and they also can have a wide variety of characteristics within them. They may have a certain number of hotel rooms. They might have a lot, they might have a little. They might have a lot of restaurants, they might have a little, they might have casual or fancy restaurants. They also are in very different settings from each other. And so the characteristics of Waukegan and the surrounding communities are different than the locations where the petitioner has built casinos in the past. And so relying on that precedent data, which is frankly quite limited in quantity, is not as parallel a data set as we would normally like to see. And so we have this opportunity to look at how over the next 2 to 3 years this temporary facility will operate and document the unique characteristics of the American place and use that to help inform the design of the permanent. So that's one of the conditions that was noted in our memo. The other most important element is that we want to ensure that the arrival experience for the individuals who are patronizing this facility and also the people employed at this facility, many of whom will be local residents, is a positive one, because that will be the first impression and will play greatly into the success of the facility. And so we think that it's very important that the transportation design facilitate a functional and safe experience in that respect. There is likely to be a lot of busyness at this facility on a Friday and Saturday night. There was some contemplation in the traffic evaluation to date of rideshare and taxi activity. It relates more closely to how people in the given area commute to and from work. We would expect that an entertainment facility would be likely to experience a lot more rideshare activity, Ubers and Lyfts, which incur a duplicate impact because they drive in to drop off their rider and then they drive out. And so it's a double impact compared to somebody driving in and parking. And so that's something that would be captured in the case study, but we also want to create some resiliency to absorb some of those unknowns and promote a very safe experience for people who are arriving at the facility. So we have recommended one potential option for improving the Port Cochere pickup drop-off and internal roadway network. And the petitioner may take a look at that and have some adjustments, but in the end, it's very important that we avoid the very close spacing of busy intersections as is currently present at that entry space. It's important that we provide pedestrian safety in crossing, and the current design funnels a lot of traffic from the main access and traveling between the main parking lots and also around the Port Cochere in the area where there will be the natural flow of pedestrians towards the door, and also the most prominent ADA access pedestrian connection from the handicap parking spaces. It places those individuals crossing through one of the busiest traffic locations on site. So we would like to see some adjustments to the site plan to improve that safety and functionality issue so that it is safe for everybody within the property, and so it doesn't create congestion that flows out onto the public street network and can create a safety concern for the general public on the public street network. And is that all you want to touch on? Yeah, those are the main 2 points, but you have our memo, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you may have based on that. Thank you.
Is there any historical information about when it was Lakehurst, the shopping center? Because the road system was basically the same, big circle around and stuff like that, and it had a huge volume at different holidays. I'm just wondering if there's any historical data that you might be able to tap.
You know, that's a great question, and I'm not sure of the answer to that, and so we can work with city staff to see what kind of information might be available for what was recorded for that activity back then. I think that's a great point. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the final 3 conditions, other than traffic and parking related, the number 15 is related to the projection art that Alex and Kurt talked about to make that structure a little bit more attractive. We're excited about that too. We think the possibilities there are terrific, and we want to work with them closely to make sure that it's a benefit for everybody and doesn't have any negative impacts on any of the neighbors. We also want to work with them to develop a decommissioning plan so that we all know the phasing and the future use and of the structures that will be on the site and how they're going to be removed from the site, that type of thing. And then there are some legal issues that we need to resolve with getting easements in place because the city will continue to own the 30-acre site. It'll be leased, and they will own the 10-acre site on Fountain Square Place. So we need some easements to allow traffic and relationships to cross there in the middle. So pretty straightforward, we think. And as you know, the city's been working on this project for many, many, many years, even predating my tenure with the city, trying to get a casino here. And it's really exciting for all of us that this is happening. We think this is a great team. I think both teams have worked very closely together to try to move things forward on an urgent timeline because it is a high priority for us. And we're glad to take any questions you have as well.
Are there any questions for city staff?
I love when that happens.
I'd like to ask the petitioner, in the letter of recommendation from the city, there are 17 recommended conditions of approval. Do you feel that you are going to be able to live up to the conditions that the city is requesting? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Carl Kimalucci. I'm a partner at the Taft Law Firm in Chicago. Overall, yes. You know, we saw a couple of, you know, relatively minor comments that we would offer. I already had a preliminary conversation with the city's attorneys before this meeting just to sort of preview those and check in, and we feel pretty confident that we can work through that between now and the city council meeting. There wouldn't be any substantial changes, just some minor adjustments. So overall, yes.
And city staff, is that your feeling also?
Yes, we concur with that, and we're glad to work with the team to get all of those issues resolved to everyone's satisfaction.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do any commissioners have any questions for either city staff or for the petitioner?
I'm kind of interested, I guess, in what of the temporary structures might stay on the site. I wasn't thinking that any of them, other than maybe the bar and grill, as I saw some of this, or the kind of diner building, but.
Everything is subject to change, but as of now, we have no intention of keeping anything from the temporary on the site. And in terms of the structure, now the
That
slot
makes me
machines
feel
inside,
better.
yeah, the slot machines that are inside, a lot of what we're putting inside
Sure.
obviously is going to get transferred.
Sure.
Those are a little too expensive to only have a 3-year life. But yeah, the sprung structure, that area, we're going to need it for parking, and there really is no plan for any of that to be utilized within the permanent facility.
That makes me feel, like I said, a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for either city staff or for the petitioner? No? Okay, in that case, I would like to ask for a motion to either to recommend approval or to recommend denial of zoning calendar number 2656, site plan approval for the temporary by American Place, 600 Lakehurst Road and 4001 to 4011 Fountain Square Place pursuant to the Western Gateway Redevelopment Overlay District and subject to the conditions noted in the staff report. We're strictly asking for motion on the site plan to approve it or to recommend not approve it.
I'd like to recommend approval.
Okay. Recommended, motion by Commissioner Rivera, second by Commissioner Griffin. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Griffin? Bill?
Aye.
Anderson?
Yes.
Hintz?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
I am very happy to see this project happening. I wish you a lot of success with your project, and I vote yes. Motion carries. And that is it. Item 4, informational items. I don't believe we have any informational items. Anything else that we need to discuss? Okay, motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Rivera.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hintz. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Okay, we are going to start the